The Bentley's taillights carve crimson streaks through the midnight darkness as it hurtles down the empty service road behind Blackwell Tower. Daniel Brooks looks up from mopping the lobby floor, his attention caught by the screech of tires that shouldn't exist at this hour. Through the glass walls, he watches the luxury sedan swerve violently, its headlights painting wild arcs across the concrete. Then comes the impact, a sickening crunch of metal meeting the reinforced pillar at 70 miles per hour. The mop clatters to the marble floor as Daniel sprints toward the exit. His janitor's uniform catches on the revolving door, tearing at the shoulder. Flames already lick at the Bentley's crumpled hood, orange tongues tasting the California night air. Black smoke billows from the engine compartment, thick and toxic. Through the spider-webbed windshield, he glimpses a figure slumped over the steering wheel, blonde hair spilling across the dashboard, a woman's silhouette motionless in the driver's seat. Daniel's work boots pound against asphalt as he reaches the wreck. The heat hits him like a physical wall, forcing him back momentarily. The driver's door is crushed inward, the handle twisted beyond use. He circles to the passenger side, finding it equally damaged. The flames spread faster now, crawling across the hood toward the windshield. He has maybe 60 seconds before the fuel tank ignites. Without thinking, Daniel strips off his uniform shirt and wraps it around his right fist. He drives his protected hand through the passenger window. Safety glass explodes inward in 1,000 crystalline fragments. He reaches through, feeling for the door's manual override. His fingers find the emergency release, a feature he recognizes from his engineering days, and yanks hard. The door groans but doesn't budge. The woman stirs slightly, a soft moan escaping her lips. Blood trickles from a gash on her forehead. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Daniel shouts over the crackling flames. "I need you to wake up now." Her eyes flutter open, striking blue even in the firelight, and lock onto his face with confused terror. "Help me," she whispers. Wow. Watching Daniel risk everything to save a stranger literally gave me chills. If your heart is racing like mine, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. And if this story touches your heart, the thanks button below really helps me keep bringing you these tales. Quick question, where are you watching from tonight? Drop your location in the comments. I love knowing where in the world these stories reach. Daniel reaches through the broken window and finds her seatbelt release. The mechanism is jammed, the impact having warped the housing. He pulls harder, feeling the metal edges slice through his wrapped shirt into his palm. Blood mixes with sweat as he fights the stubborn latch. The fire reaches the windshield now, the glass beginning to crack from the heat. Toxic smoke fills the cabin, making them both cough. With a final desperate wrench, the seatbelt releases. Daniel hooks his arms under the woman's shoulders and pulls. She's lighter than expected, but completely limp. Dead weight as he drags her through the window opening. Her designer dress catches on jagged glass, tearing expensive fabric. He doesn't stop, can't stop, not with the flames so close. They tumble backward onto the asphalt just as the windshield explodes outward in a shower of superheated glass. Daniel shields her body with his own as debris rains down. The Bentley's fuel tank ignites with a deep whoomph that he feels in his chest. A column of fire shoots 20 feet into the air. He drags her another 30 feet away before collapsing beside her, his lungs burning from smoke inhalation. His hands are shaking, adrenaline making his whole body vibrate. The woman's eyes focus on him properly for the first time. "You saved me," she breathes, her voice hoarse. Daniel notices the Blackwell corporate badge clipped to her dress. Not just any badge, but the gold-trimmed executive variant. His stomach drops as recognition dawns. This is Victoria Blackwell herself, The CEO whose name adorns the building where he cleans floors for $11 an hour. The woman who probably doesn't know he exists despite 3 years of night shifts in her empire. Sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Daniel starts to stand, to fade back into his anonymous role, but Victoria's hand catches his wrist. Her grip is surprisingly strong for someone who just survived a crash. "Wait," she says, studying his face in the orange glow of her burning car. "I know you. You work in my building." Before Daniel can respond, another car screeches to a halt nearby, a black Tesla Model S with tinted windows. The driver's door flies open, and Alexander Stone emerges, his perfectly styled hair somehow immaculate even at midnight. The company's COO rushes to Victoria's side, dropping to his knees beside her. "Victoria, thank God you're alive." His voice drips concern, but Daniel catches something else in his tone. Disappointment, perhaps, or frustration. Alexander's arms wrap around Victoria, pulling her against his chest. Over her shoulder, his eyes meet Daniel's. The look that passes between them is pure ice. A warning, a threat, a promise of consequences. "The paramedics are coming," Alexander says, still staring at Daniel. "You can go now, Janitor. We'll handle things from here." But Victoria pushes back from Alexander's embrace. "He saved my life," she says firmly. "This man pulled me from the fire." Her hand still grips Daniel's wrist like an anchor. Alexander's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "Of course, darling. We're all grateful for his quick thinking." The pause before quick thinking stretches just long enough to transform gratitude into suspicion. As the paramedics arrive and begin checking Victoria for injuries, Daniel notices something glinting in the wreckage. A small USB drive has been thrown clear of the burning car, lying at almost invisible against the dark asphalt. While everyone's attention focuses on Victoria, he palms the device. It's still warm from the fire, the plastic casing slightly melted, but intact. Victoria is loaded onto a gurney, despite her protests that she's fine. As the paramedics wheel her toward the ambulance, she calls out to Daniel. "What's your name?" she asks. He hesitates, aware of Alexander's glare burning into him. "Daniel Brooks," he finally answers. "I work the night shift." "I won't forget this, Daniel Brooks," Victoria says as the ambulance doors close. Alexander remains behind, ostensibly to deal with the police and fire department. He approaches Daniel with measured steps, each one calculated for maximum intimidation. "That was very heroic of you," he says, his voice low enough that only Daniel can hear. "Heroes often find themselves in dangerous situations. I'd hate for anything to happen to you or your family." The threat hangs in the air between them like smoke from the still-burning Bentley. Daniel's fist clenches around the hidden USB drive. "I don't know what you mean," he says carefully. Alexander's smile is all teeth and no warmth. "Of course you don't. You're just a janitor after all. Someone who cleans up other people's messes." He pauses, letting the words sink in. "Speaking of which, shouldn't you be getting back to work? I believe there's a lobby floor that needs attention." Daniel watches Alexander's Tesla disappear into the night before returning to the building. His hands are still trembling as he retrieves his abandoned mop. The lobby's marble floor reflects the dying flames from Victoria's car outside, orange light dancing across polished stone like a warning. He thinks of Emma, asleep in their tiny apartment across the city. Thinks of the medical bills piling up on his kitchen counter, the surgery she needs that insurance won't fully cover. The USB drive burns in his pocket like a coal. He should turn it over to security, to the police, to someone in authority. But Alexander's threat echoes in his mind, and something else too. Victoria's whispered words in French as the paramedics examined her. Ils ont essayé de me tuer. They tried to kill me. Daniel's 5 years of high school and college French are rusty, but certain phrases stick, especially when spoken with such conviction, such fear. Back in his supply closet, Daniel examines his injured hands under the harsh fluorescent light. The cuts aren't deep, but they'll need bandaging. As he wraps gauze around his palms, his phone buzzes with a text from his neighbor. Emma had another bad night. Breathing treatments at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. She's asking for you. His heart clenches at the thought of his daughter struggling to breathe while he was pulling a stranger from a fire. The cruel irony isn't lost on him. The USB drive sits on the metal shelf beside industrial-strength cleaners and replacement mop heads. Its presence feels alien in this mundane space. Daniel knows he should leave it alone, should maintain the invisible boundary between his world and the executive floors above. But he also knows the signs of a failed brake system, having worked on cars before his engineering career imploded. The Bentley's brakes didn't fail naturally. The way it swerved, the complete loss of control. Someone had tampered with them. His shift ends at 6 a.m., giving him 2 hours before Emma wakes for school. Daniel makes his decision. He takes the service elevator to the basement where the building's old server room sits mostly abandoned, a relic from before the company moved everything to the cloud. But the terminals still work, still connected to the internal network, but isolated enough to avoid detection. It's here that Daniel sometimes practices coding during breaks, keeping his skills sharp for a comeback that never seems to arrive. The USB slides into the port with a soft click. Immediately, password protection screens appear, military-grade encryption that would stop most people. But Daniel isn't most people. Before his life collapsed, before the false accusations that destroyed his career, he was one of Silicon Valley's rising stars in cybersecurity. His fingers fly across the keyboard, muscle memory returning as he navigates through layers of protection. It takes 40 minutes, but finally, the files unlock. What he finds makes his blood run cold. Financial records showing massive funds transfers to offshore accounts, all authorized by Alexander Stone, but hidden from board oversight. Patent applications for technology that Blackwell Industries didn't develop, stolen from smaller companies through hostile takeovers. And most damning, email exchanges between Alexander and someone identified only as the mechanic, discussing the Victoria problem and permanent solutions. The final email, dated yesterday, simply reads, "Tomorrow night. Make it look like an accident. The brake lines are already compromised." Daniel screenshots everything, uploading copies to 3 different encrypted cloud services. He's learned the hard way that evidence can disappear when powerful people want it gone. His phone rings, startling him in the silent server room. The caller ID shows St. Mary's Hospital. "Mr. Brooks, this is Dr. Margaret Hayes, calling about your daughter Emma. I'm sorry to call so early, but there's been a development with her condition." Daniel's heart stops. "Is she okay? What happened?" "She's stable," Dr. Hayes assures him quickly, but her latest test results show the scarring in her lungs is progressing faster than anticipated. We need to discuss moving up her surgery timeline. The longer we wait, the riskier it becomes. She pauses, and Daniel knows what's coming. "Have you had any luck with the insurance appeal? The procedure costs $50,000, Daniel finishes, the number burned into his brain. "No, the appeal was denied. They claim it's experimental." He looks at the screen full of evidence that could destroy Alexander Stone. "How soon does she need it?" "Ideally within the next month," Dr. Hayes says gently. "I know this is difficult, Mr. Brooks. Emma is a wonderful little girl. We're exploring every option for financial assistance, but these programs take time." After she hangs up, Daniel sits in the humming server room, surrounded by proof of corporate corruption worth millions, while his daughter slowly suffocates from a condition $50,000 could fix. At 7:30 a.m., Daniel picks up Emma from their neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez. His daughter runs to him, despite her labored breathing, throwing her arms around his waist. "Daddy, Mrs. Rodriguez said you were a hero last night. Is it true?" Emma's green eyes, so like her late mother's, shine with pride. "Did you really save someone?" Daniel kneels to her level, noticing the slight blue tinge around her lips. That means her oxygen levels are low. "It was nothing special, sweetheart. Just helped someone who needed it." Emma shakes her head fiercely. "It is special. You're always special, Daddy, even if other people don't see it." They walk to school slowly, Emma's small hand in his bandaged one. She chatters about her art project, a painting of their family, including her mother as an angel watching over them. Daniel only half listens, his mind racing through possibilities. The evidence on the USB could be worth something to the right people, but selling it would make him just another criminal. And there's Victoria to consider. She deserves to know someone tried to kill her. After dropping Emma at school with a promise to attend her art show next week, Daniel takes the bus to St. Mary's Hospital, not to visit the children's wing where Emma receives treatment, but to the executive floor where Victoria Blackwell is reportedly recovering. The elevator ride feels endless. His janitor's uniform draws suspicious looks from doctors and administrators. He doesn't belong here among the powerful and privileged. But then again, neither does attempted murder. The executive floor is all marble and mahogany, a far cry from the industrial gray of the children's ward. Daniel finds Victoria's room easily. It's the one with 2 security guards posted outside. They eye him with professional suspicion as he approaches. "I'm here to see Ms. Blackwell," he says, trying to project confidence he doesn't feel. "She's not taking visitors," the larger guard says flatly. "Especially not maintenance staff. Mr. Stone's orders." Of course, Alexander would try to isolate her. Daniel is about to argue when the door opens and Victoria herself appears, wearing a hospital gown, but looking remarkably composed. "It's all right, James," she tells the guard. "Mr. Brooks saved my life last night. The least I can do is speak with him." The guards reluctantly step aside, and Daniel follows Victoria into the room. It's more like a luxury hotel suite than a hospital room, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Victoria settles into a chair, gesturing for him to sit across from her. "The doctors say I'm lucky," she begins. "A mild concussion, some bruising, smoke inhalation that will clear up. If you hadn't pulled me out when you did." "Your brakes were cut," Daniel says quietly, deciding directness is his only option. Victoria's composed facade cracks slightly. "What did you say?" Daniel pulls out his phone, showing her the screenshots from the USB. "I found this in the wreckage. I'm sorry for looking, but after what you said in French, I had to know." Victoria's face pales as she reads through the evidence. "Alexander," she whispers, the name like poison on her lips. "He actually tried to, but we're engaged. The wedding is next month." Her hands tremble as she scrolls through more emails. "How did you decrypt this? Our security team couldn't crack Alexander's private files." Daniel hesitates, then tells her about his past, the rising career, the false accusations of corporate espionage, the orchestrated destruction of his reputation. "I was set up by a colleague who wanted my position. By the time I proved my innocence, it was too late. No one would hire me. I've been cleaning floors for 3 years, trying to support my daughter." He doesn't mention Emma's condition or the mounting medical bills. Victoria listens without interrupting, her sharp mind clearly processing multiple threads simultaneously. When he finishes, she stands and walks to the window. "Alexander came into the company 2 years ago," she says slowly. My father had just died, and I was struggling to maintain control. The board wanted someone with experience, someone who could guide me. She laughs bitterly. I fell for his charm, his vision for the company's future. I thought I was in love. But things changed after we got engaged 6 months ago, she continues. He became controlling, jealous of any success I achieved without him. He insisted on joint signatures for major decisions, gradually taking more power. She turns back to Daniel. If I had died in that crash, he would have inherited my shares through a provision in our engagement contract. He would have controlled everything. A knock at the door interrupts them. Alexander Stone enters without waiting for permission. His designer suit impeccable, his smile perfectly calibrated. He freezes when he sees Daniel. Darling, what is the janitor doing here? His tone remains pleasant, but Daniel catches the undercurrent of rage. Mr. Brooks was checking on me, Victoria says smoothly. After all, he did save my life. She closes Daniel's phone, hiding the evidence. Although I'm surprised you tried to keep him away, Alexander. One would think you'd want to thank him personally. Alexander's smile tightens. Of course. Thank you, Mr. Brooks, for your heroic actions. He steps closer to Victoria, placing a possessive hand on her shoulder. However, Victoria needs rest. The doctors were very clear about limiting visitors. His fingers squeeze slightly, and Daniel sees Victoria wince. Not from pain, but from recognition of the control being exerted. I should go, Daniel says, standing. But as he passes Victoria, she presses something into his hand. Her business card, with a number written on the back. For insurance purposes, she says loudly enough for Alexander to hear. My assistant will need your information for the incident report. Daniel nods and leaves, feeling Alexander's stare burning into his back. In the elevator, he looks at the card. Below the handwritten number, Victoria has added 2 words in tiny script. Trust me. He pockets the card next to the USB drive. Both feel like they're radioactive, dangerous to possess, but impossible to discard. That evening, Daniel sits with Emma as she does homework at their small kitchen table. The apartment is cramped but clean. Photos of happier times covering one wall. Emma's mother smiles from every frame, frozen in time before the cancer took her, before Daniel's career imploded trying to pay for her treatment. Daddy, why do you look sad? Emma asks, her pencil pausing over a math problem. Just thinking, sweetheart, Daniel says, ruffling her hair. How was your breathing today? Emma shrugs, trying to appear nonchalant. Only needed my inhaler twice. Mrs. Patterson didn't even notice during PE. But Daniel notices how she unconsciously rubs her chest, how her breathing is shallower than it should be. His phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Victoria. Can you meet tomorrow? Sunrise. The pier near Ghirardelli Square. Come alone. We need to discuss what you found. Daniel deletes the message immediately, paranoid about digital trails. He texts back a simple yes before deleting that too. That night, Daniel barely sleeps. Every car passing outside could be Alexander's men. Every footstep in the hallway could be danger approaching. He double-checks the locks, places a chair against the door, keeps his phone within reach. When Emma cries out at 3 a.m., struggling through an asthma attack, he holds her while she uses her nebulizer, whispering stories about brave princesses who defeat dragons and save kingdoms. By 5 a.m., Daniel is at the pier. Fog rolls in from the bay, shrouding everything in gray mist. Victoria appears like a ghost from the fog, wearing jeans and a hooded sweatshirt instead of her usual power suits. She looks younger, more vulnerable, more human. Thank you for coming, she says, her breath visible in the cold morning air. I didn't know who else to trust. She tells him about her investigation since yesterday, how she accessed Alexander's office using her override codes, finding more evidence of his schemes. He's been planning this for months, she says, showing Daniel photos on her phone of documents. Falsified board minutes, forged signatures, secret partnerships with competitors. If I die or become incapacitated, he gains control of everything. She pauses, looking out at the dark water. My father built this company from nothing. I can't let Alexander destroy it. Go to the police, Daniel urges. You have enough evidence. Victoria shakes her head. Alexander has connections everywhere. Police, FBI, Justice Department. He showed me once, proud of his network. She turns to Daniel, desperation clear in her eyes. That's why I need your help. You're outside his web, someone he sees as insignificant. He won't expect you to be involved. I'm a janitor, Daniel reminds her. What can I do against someone like him? Victoria steps closer, close enough that he can see the fear she's trying to hide. You're not just a janitor. I looked into your background after you left the hospital. Daniel Brooks, MIT graduate, former lead engineer at Prometheus Tech. 3 patents in encryption technology, 2 industry awards for innovation. She pauses. And someone who risked his life to save a stranger. That's who I'm asking for help. Before Daniel can respond, his phone rings. Mrs. Rodriguez's panicked voice fills his ear. Daniel, you need to come quickly. There are men here asking about you and Emma. They say they're from child services, but something feels wrong. Daniel's blood turns to ice. Daniel's hand grips the phone so tightly the plastic creaks. Don't let them in, Mrs. Rodriguez. Tell them you need to see official documentation. I'm on my way. He ends the call and turns to Victoria, his face drained of color. They're going after Emma. Alexander knows exactly where to apply pressure. Victoria pulls out her phone, dialing rapidly. James? Yes, I need you at 47 Clement Street immediately. Possible kidnapping attempt in progress. A child is in danger. She hangs up and grabs Daniel's arm. My security chief is 5 minutes away. We'll take my car. They sprint to Victoria's backup vehicle, a discreet Toyota Camry that draws no attention. She drives with controlled aggression through the empty morning streets. Daniel's mind races through worst-case scenarios. If Alexander's people take Emma, he'll have all the leverage he needs. Why are you helping me? Daniel asks as Victoria runs a red light. You could just disappear, leave the country, start over somewhere Alexander can't reach. Because running means he wins, Victoria says, taking a corner at dangerous speed. And because that little girl doesn't deserve to suffer for adult conflicts. I've read her medical files, Daniel. I had my personal physician review them last night. She glances at him briefly. The surgery she needs, it's the same procedure my younger sister had 10 years ago. I know exactly what you're going through. They reach Daniel's apartment building as a black van pulls away from the curb. Through the rear window, Daniel glimpses Emma's terrified face before the vehicle disappears around the corner. No! He's out of the car before Victoria fully stops, running toward Mrs. Rodriguez, who stands crying on the sidewalk. They had badges, official papers, she sobs. They said you were under investigation for child endangerment, that Emma needed protective custody. Victoria is already on her phone with James. Black van heading east on Clement. License plate starts with 7G. She turns to Daniel, whose entire body shakes with rage and fear. We'll get her back. Alexander just made a fatal mistake. Kidnapping is federal, and I have contacts he doesn't know about. But Daniel isn't listening anymore. He's running back to Victoria's car, diving into the driver's seat. The engine is still running. Daniel, wait! Victoria jumps into the passenger side as he tears away from the curb. You don't even know where they're taking her. But Daniel does know. During his late-night research into Alexander Stone, he found property records. Alexander owns a warehouse in Hunters Point. Isolated, soundproof, perfect for making problems disappear. His knuckles are white on the steering wheel. He'll take her there to ensure my cooperation. Victoria calls James again, giving him the warehouse address. Then she opens her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm accessing the traffic cameras along their route. There, I see the van. They're definitely heading toward Hunter's Point. She looks at Daniel's profile, noting the cold determination that's replaced his earlier panic. You're not just going to cooperate with whatever he wants, are you? I'll do whatever it takes to get Emma back safely, Daniel says, his voice flat and dangerous. After that, Alexander Stone is going to learn what happens when you threaten a man's child. They drive in tense silence for several minutes before Victoria speaks again. I've been thinking about your wife. The timing of her illness, right when your career was destroyed. It seems like an extraordinary coincidence. Daniel's jaw tightens. I've wondered about that every day for 3 years. Sarah was healthy, vibrant. Then suddenly she developed an aggressive cancer that appeared from nowhere. He takes a sharp turn, tires squealing. The doctor said it was just terrible luck, but I've never believed in coincidence. Too many things went wrong at exactly the same time. Who stood to gain from your downfall? Victoria asks, though she suspects she already knows. Who got your position after you were forced out? Daniel's answer comes through gritted teeth. Thomas Chen, Alexander's cousin. I didn't know about the connection then, but I found out later. The pieces fall into place with sickening clarity. Alexander has been destroying lives long before he targeted Victoria. They arrive at the warehouse district as the sun breaks through the fog. Massive industrial buildings loom like concrete monsters. James Walker's SUV is already there, parked behind a shipping container. The former Navy SEAL steps out, his expression grim. The van went inside 5 minutes ago. I count 4 hostiles, plus the driver. The girl appears unharmed. He hands Daniel a bulletproof vest. This isn't your fight, Mr. Brooks. Let my team handle the extraction. That's my daughter in there, Daniel says, strapping on the vest. I'm going in. James looks to Victoria, who nods. We go together. Alexander needs to see that his game is over. James clearly disapproves, but knows better than to argue with his employer. The tension is killing me right now. Do you think Daniel should trust Victoria completely, or could she have her own agenda? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you all think about her true motivations. Inside the warehouse, Emma sits zip-tied to a chair, trying very hard not to cry. The men who took her haven't hurt her, but their cold professionalism terrifies her more than violence would. One of them speaks into a phone. Yes, Mr. Stone. The package is secure. The father should be receiving your message shortly. Emma recognizes the name Stone. Her father has mentioned him, always with barely concealed anger. Alexander Stone enters through a side door, his usual perfect appearance slightly disheveled. He approaches Emma with what he probably thinks is a kind smile. Hello, Emma. Your father has something that belongs to me, and you're going to help me get it back. Emma lifts her chin, channeling her mother's courage. My daddy says bullies are just cowards who are afraid of fair fights. Alexander's smile falters, replaced by irritation. Your daddy is about to learn about consequences. He pulls out his phone, dialing Daniel's number, but the call doesn't go through. He tries again with the same result. Then the lights in the warehouse suddenly cut out, plunging them into darkness. Emergency lighting kicks in a second later, bathing everything in hellish red. James Walker's voice echoes through the building's PA system, which he's somehow hijacked. Alexander Stone, this building is surrounded. Release the child immediately, and you might avoid federal kidnapping charges. Alexander snarls, pulling a gun from his jacket. Change of plans, he tells his men. We're leaving through the north exit. Bring the girl. But Daniel is already at the north exit, having anticipated Alexander's move. He watches through a crack in the door as the group approaches. Victoria and James are at the south entrance, creating the illusion of being surrounded with only 3 people. It's a desperate bluff, but it might work. As Alexander's group gets closer, Daniel makes his choice. He kicks the door open and rolls a smoke grenade James gave him across the floor. Thick, white smoke fills the corridor as Daniel moves through it, guided by Emma's coughing. His hand finds her shoulder, and he whispers, "It's Daddy, sweetheart. Close your eyes tight." He cuts her zip ties with a utility knife and pulls her against his chest. Alexander fires blindly into the smoke, the bullet striking concrete. Daniel shields Emma with his body as he retreats. They burst out of the smoke into the main warehouse floor, where Victoria waits with a laptop. "I've locked down all the exits remotely," she says. Alexander isn't leaving until the FBI arrives. But Alexander emerges from the smoke with his gun trained on them, his perfect composure finally cracked. "You think you've won?" he snarls at Victoria. "I own half the FBI field office. They'll believe whatever I tell them." "Not anymore," Victoria says, turning her laptop screen toward him. Playing on the screen is a live stream showing Alexander in the warehouse, gun drawn, with Emma clearly visible. "This is broadcasting to every major news outlet in the country. 50 million people are watching you hold a child at gunpoint, Alexander." The color drains from his face as he realizes the magnitude of his mistake. Sirens wail in the distance, getting closer. "You destroyed everything," Alexander says, his voice breaking. "My perfect plan. Years of preparation." He swings the gun toward Victoria. But James Walker is faster, his tactical training allowing him to cover the distance in seconds. The gun fires once as James tackles Alexander. The bullet catches James in the shoulder, spinning him around. Alexander tries to run, but Daniel trips him with an outstretched foot. The formerly perfect executive crashes face first into the concrete floor. FBI agents swarm the warehouse, weapons drawn and shouting commands. Alexander is dragged away in handcuffs, his expensive suit torn and bloody. Paramedics rush to James, who waves them off despite the blood soaking his shirt. "Just a flesh wound," he insists, though his face is pale with pain. Emma clings to Daniel, her face buried in his shoulder. "I knew you'd come, Daddy. You always save people." Later, at FBI headquarters, Daniel gives his statement while Emma colors in a children's room nearby. The agent taking his testimony seems genuinely shocked by the evidence. "Mr. Stone had connections we're still uncovering," she says. "Your documentation helped expose a massive corporate conspiracy. There will be a substantial reward." Daniel doesn't care about rewards. He just wants Emma safe and healthy. Victoria finds him in the hallway afterward, looking exhausted, but relieved. "It's over," she says simply. They stand in awkward silence before she continues. "I've been thinking about Emma's surgery. Blackwell Industries has a medical foundation. We fund experimental procedures for employees' children." Daniel starts to protest that he's just a janitor, but she cuts him off. "Effective immediately, you're our new chief security consultant. The position comes with full benefits, including complete medical coverage." "I can't accept that," Daniel says, though his resolve wavers, thinking of Emma. "You don't owe me anything, Victoria." She steps closer, close enough that he can smell her perfume mixed with smoke from the warehouse. "This isn't about owing. Your insights found vulnerabilities my entire security team missed. You've earned this position." She pauses, then adds quietly, "Besides, I could use someone around who sees me as a person, not just a CEO." Over the following weeks, everything changes with dizzying speed. Alexander's trial becomes a media sensation as more victims come forward. His connection to Daniel's past emerges when Thomas Chen confesses to poisoning Sarah on Alexander's orders. The chemical used was untraceable after 48 hours, making it seem like natural cancer. Daniel sits through this revelation in court, Victoria's hand on his shoulder, the only thing keeping him from attacking Chen. Emma's surgery is scheduled at Oakland Children's Hospital, the best facility on the West Coast. The night before, Daniel sits by her bed reading her favorite story. "Will it hurt, Daddy?" she asks in a small voice. "The doctors will make sure you sleep through everything," he assures her. "And when you wake up, breathing will be easy again. No more inhalers, no more attacks." "Will Victoria be there?" Emma asks, surprising him. Over the past weeks, Victoria has visited regularly, bringing books and art supplies. She and Emma have developed an unexpected bond. Two souls who understand loss and fighting through pain. "If you want her there, I'm sure she will be," Daniel says. Emma nods decisively. "I want her there. She makes you smile differently." The surgery takes 6 hours while Daniel paces the waiting room. Victoria arrives an hour in, having canceled a board meeting. She doesn't speak, just sits beside him and occasionally squeezes his hand. James Walker, arm still in a sling, brings coffee and stands guard by the door out of habit. When Dr. Margaret Hayes finally emerges with a smile, Daniel's knees nearly buckle. The procedure was completely successful. Emma's going to breathe normally again. Recovery is slow but steady as Emma's body adjusts to functioning without constant struggle. Daniel takes leave from his new position to stay with her. Victoria visits every evening after work, sometimes staying so late she falls asleep in the visitor's chair. One night, Daniel covers her with his jacket, and Emma whispers, "She looks peaceful here. Maybe she should stay." 3 months later, at Blackwell Industries' annual charity gala, Daniel stands uncomfortably in a tuxedo. He's technically here as chief security consultant, but everyone knows there's more to his presence. Emma, healthy and energetic, races around the ballroom in a princess dress Victoria bought her. Her laughter fills the space with pure joy. "She's remarkable," Victoria says, appearing at his elbow in an elegant black gown, just like her father. "Victoria," Daniel starts, but she places a finger on his lips. "I know what you're going to say, that we're from different worlds, that it's complicated." She moves closer, her voice dropping. "But I've spent my entire life in boardrooms and executive suites, surrounded by people who only see my net worth. You saw me as a person trapped in a burning car. You risked everything to pull me out." "That was just..." Daniel begins, but Victoria interrupts. "And then you did it again, metaphorically. You pulled me out of a different kind of trap, one Alexander had built around me." Her hand finds his. "I've been alone for so long, I'd forgotten what it felt like to trust someone completely." Around them, the gala continues, but they might as well be the only two people in the room. "Daddy!" Emma's voice breaks the moment as she runs over, dragging James Walker by his good hand. "James says there's a chocolate fountain. Can we please go see?" Daniel looks at Victoria, who's trying not to laugh. Even the serious former SEAL looks amused. "Lead the way, princess," Daniel says. Emma grabs Victoria's hand too, pulling both adults toward the dessert table. 6 months after the warehouse incident, Daniel stands in Victoria's office reviewing security protocols. It's become routine, these morning meetings, where they discuss more than just business. Emma's artwork decorates one wall, her latest piece showing 3 figures holding hands under a rainbow. The resemblance to their little unconventional family is unmistakable. "I've been thinking," Victoria says, not looking up from her computer. "Emma needs stability. The commute from your apartment to her new school is terrible." Daniel knows where this is going and his heart races. "Victoria, we can't just..." But she stands, walking around the desk to face him. "I bought a house, in Marin, near the water. 4 bedrooms, big yard. There's an art studio with perfect light." "You bought a house?" Daniel repeats slowly. Victoria nods, suddenly looking vulnerable. It has a workshop in the garage. I thought you might want to work on your engineering projects again. She pulls out a folder with photos. The house is beautiful but modest. Nothing like the mansion he'd expect a billionaire to choose. It's a home, she says quietly. A place for a family. Daniel looks at the photos, then at Victoria's hopeful face. Are you asking us to move in with you? Victoria takes a deep breath. I'm asking for a chance at something real. These past months with you and Emma, they've been the happiest of my life. She steps closer. I love how you challenge me, how you see through my corporate armor. And Emma, her voice catches. She's the daughter I never thought I'd have. Before Daniel can respond, his phone buzzes with a text from Emma's teacher. There's an attached video from the school talent show. Emma stands on stage with a ukulele, singing a song she wrote. My daddy saves people. That's what heroes do. But Victoria saved us. She's our hero too. In the audience, Daniel sees himself wiping away tears. Beside him, Victoria does the same. Yes, Daniel says, setting down the phone. Yes to the house. Yes to trying. Yes to everything. Victoria's professional composure finally cracks completely. She throws her arms around him, and they kiss for the first time. It's been a long journey from that burning car to this moment. From janitor and CEO to something harder to define, but infinitely more valuable. Elena Ross, Alexander's former accomplice, testifies in exchange for immunity. Her testimony reveals the full extent of Alexander's crimes spanning 15 years. He receives 4 life sentences without parole. Thomas Chen gets 25 years for murder. The other conspirators fall like dominoes, their carefully constructed empire of corruption collapsing entirely. Daniel returns to engineering part-time, developing security software that helps protect other companies from corporate espionage. His first patent in 3 years is approved, with more pending. Victoria names him to Blackwell's board of directors, causing minor scandal until his contributions prove invaluable. Together, they restructure the company's governance, making it impossible for anyone to attempt Alexander's scheme again. Emma thrives in her new school, her health completely restored. She joins the soccer team, the drama club, the art society. Her paintings win a citywide competition, the prize ceremony held at the Legion of Honor Museum. Daniel and Victoria sit in the front row, beaming with pride. James Walker, now a permanent fixture in their lives, takes countless photos. My inspiration, Emma tells the audience during her acceptance speech, is my family. My dad, who taught me to be brave. My mom in heaven, who taught me to dream. She pauses, looking at Victoria, and my new mom, who taught me that families can grow in unexpected ways. Victoria breaks down completely, not caring that photographers capture her tears. Daniel wraps an arm around her, pulling her close. The move to the Marin house happens on a perfect Saturday morning. Emma immediately claims the room with the bay view, already planning where to hang her art. Victoria and Daniel stand in what will be their shared bedroom, still navigating the intimacy. No regrets? Victoria asks, watching movers arrange furniture. Only one, Daniel says, making her freeze. Then he smiles. I wish I'd saved you from a burning car sooner. Victoria laughs, shoving him playfully. That's a terrible romantic line. But she kisses him anyway, long and deep. Emma's voice carries from down the hall. Are you two being gross again? They break apart, laughing. This is their life now, messy and complicated, and absolutely perfect. The first dinner in the new house is takeout pizza eaten on the floor, surrounded by boxes. Emma falls asleep between them while watching a movie. Daniel carries her to bed while Victoria cleans up. domestic moments that feel more valuable than any corporate victory. "I never thought I'd have this," Victoria says when he returns. "A real home, a real family. You saved us as much as we saved you," Daniel tells her. "Emma needed more than I could give her alone. And I needed—" He pauses, searching for words. "I needed to believe good things could still happen. You gave me that." They stand together looking out at the bay, lights from the Golden Gate Bridge twinkling in the distance. 1 year later, at Emma's school's father-daughter dance, Daniel watches his daughter sparkle with confidence. Her breathing is perfect, her energy boundless. Other fathers recognize him now. The janitor who exposed Alexander Stone, who saved Victoria Blackwell. But those labels don't matter. What matters is Emma's joy as they dance to her favorite song. Victoria attends the mother-daughter breakfast the next month, nobody questioning her right to be there. Emma introduces her proudly as "my Victoria," which somehow means more than any formal title. The other mothers, initially starstruck by the CEO's presence, soon realize she's just another parent, worried about homework and screen time and whether Emma's eating enough vegetables. James Walker, recovering from his shoulder injury, becomes Emma's unofficial uncle and martial arts instructor. She learns discipline and self-defense, but more importantly, she learns that strength comes in many forms. Real power, James tells her during training, is protecting people who can't protect themselves. Your dad understands that. Victoria, too. The company thrives under Victoria's renewed leadership, with Daniel's security innovations. Stock prices reach record highs, but more importantly, employee satisfaction soars. The executive team learns to respect the former janitor, whose insights cut through corporate doublespeak. Daniel's working-class perspective becomes invaluable in board discussions. On the second anniversary of the warehouse incident, they hold a small ceremony. Not a celebration, but a remembrance of how far they've come. Emma places flowers at a small memorial for Sarah. Victoria holds Daniel as he cries for the wife taken too soon. "She would be proud," Victoria whispers, "of the father you are, the man you've become." "She would have liked you," Daniel says, surprising himself with the truth of it. Sarah believed in second chances, in building something from broken pieces. They stand together in the cemetery, an unconventional family forged in fire, literally and figuratively. Alexander Stone dies in prison, killed by another inmate who lost everything to his schemes. Daniel feels no satisfaction at the news, only a hollow sense of justice served. Victoria handles it better, or at least hides her emotions more effectively. "He chose his path," she says simply. "We chose ours." The adoption papers are Emma's idea, presented to Victoria on Mother's Day. "Would you officially be my mom?" she asks, holding out the documents she researched herself. Victoria ugly cries for 20 minutes before saying yes. The legal process is smooth, money and good lawyers making everything simple. The day it's finalized, Emma legally becomes Emma Brooks Blackwell, hyphenated like her growing family. Daniel proposes 6 months later at the pier where Victoria first asked for his help. Dawn fog rolling in, just like that morning 3 years ago. "You saved me from a burning car," he says, dropping to one knee. "But more than that, you helped me save myself from the ashes of my old life." The ring is modest by billionaire standards, but it holds Sarah's diamond, reset with Victoria's birthstone. "Combining the past and future," Daniel explains. Victoria says yes before he finishes talking. The wedding is small, held in the backyard of their Marin house. Emma serves as both flower girl and best person. James Walker officiates with credentials obtained online. Mrs. Rodriguez cries happy tears from the front row. Dr. Margaret Hayes attends with her family. The tech press goes wild. But the family doesn't care. They're too busy dancing barefoot in the grass. Elena Ross, serving community service, sends a letter of congratulations. She's turned state's evidence on other corporate criminals, finding redemption in truth. Victoria hires her after her sentence ends, second chances being something the Brooks-Blackwell family believes in deeply. Elena becomes a fierce advocate for corporate transparency, her insider knowledge invaluable in preventing future Alexanders. Emma's art evolves as she grows, her paintings selling for substantial sums. All proceeds go to a foundation supporting children's medical needs. "Other kids need help like I did," she explains, wise beyond her years. The Emma Brooks Blackwell Foundation helps hundreds of families, Daniel and Victoria's proudest achievement beyond their own happiness. 5 years after the burning car, Daniel stands in the same spot where he once mopped floors. Now he's presenting security innovations to international clients. Victoria watches from the back, no longer the isolated CEO, but a partner in every sense. Emma, 13 now, sits beside her working on homework, occasionally offering surprisingly astute observations about the presentation. "Your father's brilliant," Victoria whispers to Emma, who rolls her eyes with teenage exasperation. "Mom, you're being gross again," Emma whispers back, but she's smiling. The word mom still makes Victoria's heart skip, even after all this time. That night, as they tuck Emma in together, she asks them to tell the story again. How Dad saved Mom from the fire, how Mom saved them from poverty and despair. "It's better than any fairy tale," Emma says sleepily, "because it's real, and it's ours." Daniel and Victoria exchange glances over their daughter's head, their hands finding each other automatically. The journey from that burning car to this moment has been long, filled with danger and doubt, sacrifice and salvation. But standing here in their daughter's room, in their house, living their impossible life, they know every struggle was worth it. "Sometimes," Victoria says softly as they leave Emma's room, "the best things rise from the ashes." Daniel pulls her close, thinking of all they've built from destruction. "And sometimes," he adds, "you have to walk through fire to find your way home." The house settles into nighttime quiet, 3 souls safe under one roof. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight they have each other. In the distance, San Francisco glimmers across the bay, the city where a janitor saved a CEO, where a desperate father found an unexpected ally, where love grew from the ashes of ambition, proving that sometimes the most unlikely rescues are the ones that save us all. Emma's latest painting hangs in the hallway, depicting a phoenix rising from flames. Underneath, in her careful handwriting, "For Dad, who taught me heroes exist. For Mom, Victoria, who proved they do. And for Mom, Sarah, who watches over us still." It's the perfect summary of their perfectly imperfect life, a testament to the power of unexpected love and unshakable faith. Daniel makes his security rounds one final time, old habits dying hard, checking locks, alarm systems, making sure his family is protected. Victoria waits for him in their bedroom, working on her laptop, but she sets it aside when he enters. "Everything secure?" she asks with gentle teasing. "Always," he responds, pulling her close. They stand together at the window, looking out at the water. 2 people who saved each other in every way that matters. The burning car feels like a lifetime ago, yet its flames forged something unbreakable. "Thank you," Victoria whispers, "for pulling me from the fire." "Thank you," Daniel responds, "for giving me a reason to keep fighting." In her room, Emma smiles in her sleep, breathing easily, dreaming peacefully. The little girl who once struggled for every breath now has everything. 2 parents who love her, a home filled with laughter, a future bright with possibility. The Brooks-Blackwell family is complete, born from tragedy, but defined by triumph. 6 months later, the doorbell rings during Saturday breakfast. Emma races to answer it, finding a package with no return address. Inside is a USB drive and a single note. "Some secrets never die. A friend." Daniel's blood runs cold as he recognizes the handwriting. Someone from Alexander's network is still out there, still watching. Victoria takes the USB to her secure home office, Daniel and James flanking her. When the files open, they reveal something unexpected. Not threats or blackmail, but evidence of other victims, families destroyed by Alexander's reach, extending far beyond what they knew. This is from Elena, Victoria realizes, studying the metadata. She's still investigating, still finding people who need justice. Among the files is one marked Sarah Brooks, Medical Records. Daniel's hands shake as he opens it. Inside are laboratory results from a private facility, proof that Sarah's cancer was induced deliberately, with notations in Alexander's own hand. But there's more. Evidence that the treatment she received was deliberately sabotaged to ensure her death. The full magnitude of Alexander's evil takes Daniel's breath away. Victoria holds him as he processes this final revelation. "We have to help them," Emma says from the doorway, having slipped in unnoticed. She's read enough to understand. All those other families, they deserve what we have. At 13, she possesses a moral clarity that humbles both adults. Daniel pulls her into their embrace. "You're right, sweetheart. We can't keep this happiness to ourselves." The Brooks-Blackwell Foundation expands its mission, seeking out Alexander's other victims, providing legal aid, medical support, and most importantly, hope. Victoria uses her corporate resources while Daniel applies his security expertise. Together, they unravel years of hidden crimes. Emma becomes the Foundation's youngest board member, her insight invaluable in understanding what families need beyond money. One evening, as they review case files, James Walker makes an observation. "You've built something Alexander never could have imagined. He destroyed families. You're rebuilding them." It's true in ways both large and small. Their dining table regularly hosts others who've lost everything. Former janitors and security guards, single parents and struggling families, all finding solidarity and shared survival. Dr. Margaret Hayes joins them for dinner, bringing news of a breakthrough. Using Daniel's settlement money, she's developed a new treatment protocol for childhood respiratory diseases. "We're calling it the Emma Protocol," she says, making the teenager blush. "It will help thousands of children breathe freely again." The irony isn't lost on anyone. Alexander's money, filtered through justice, now saves lives he would have destroyed. As midnight approaches, Victoria stands in Emma's doorway, watching her sleep. Daniel joins her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Did you ever imagine this?" she whispers. "When you were mopping floors, could you have dreamed of this life?" "Never," Daniel admits, his voice soft with wonder. "But maybe that's the point. The best things in life are the ones we never see coming, the ones that rise from ashes we thought would bury us." They stand together in the darkness, guardians of their improbable happiness, proof that sometimes the universe rights its own wrongs in the most unexpected ways. The next morning brings another California sunrise, golden light spilling across the bay. Emma joins them on the deck, carrying her sketchbook and hot chocolate. "I'm drawing our story," she announces, showing pages filled with moments. The burning car, the warehouse rescue, their first dinner as a family. For my children someday. So they'll know that miracles happen when people choose love over fear. Daniel and Victoria exchange glances over her head, marveling at their daughter's wisdom. This child who nearly died struggling to breathe now speaks truths that take their breath away. "What will you tell them about us?" Victoria asks, curious. Emma smiles, that brilliant expression that lights up their world. That Daddy was brave enough to run toward the fire, that you were strong enough to trust a stranger. And together, you built something Alexander Stone never understood. A real family, where love matters more than money, where saving each other matters more than status. She pauses, adding one final thought. Where a janitor and a CEO proved that heroes come from unexpected places.